Hello, this is Charity Harbeck. Welcome to Google Classroom Made Easy, part one of a three-part series. To navigate to Google Classroom, you can type the URL into the Omnibox, classroom.google.com. My personal favorite way to get there is the Google Apps or the waffle menu over here on the right. And then I scroll over here to my icon that says Classroom. Yours may not be in the same location. There is also an app available for Android and Apple. You can get to Classroom that way as well. Once you're at your dashboard for Google Classroom, you can click the plus icon in the upper right-hand corner, and it pops up with Join a Class or Create a Class. If you have a Join Class, you'll use this, but we're going to create a class today. Name your class here. I recommend making it not too long, as you can see what happens in the tabs up here. So we're going to call this training. Section, subject, and room are optional and up to you. And that's it. You just click Create. I'm going to skip the Create because I have a class over here that I want to use. Takes a minute to populate when you do create it. I'm going to use this one as my sample. And the next thing we're going to talk about is what it looks like on this page. So we have several views. This is called the stream view. This here is the stream. We also have a classwork view, which will show all the classroom you set, all the materials you set in the classroom, including topics, materials, assignments, questions, and more. As you can see here, you have an option to get to Google Calendar and the Class Drive folder from here. The next view is People. This is where you would add co-teachers. If you are a teacher at FCS schools, please add myself or Savannah as co-teachers to your class. And this is where you can add students. We're not going to do that at this time. You'll see why later. And the last view is Grades. And this is obviously where all the grades and such would show up. So the next thing we're going to do is configure our settings over here on the right again. This time it's the gear icon. That's going to let us configure settings for this classroom. Here is the name I created. The only difference in this first box from when we created the class is there's an addition of a classroom description. Again, it's optional. I added just a bit more information to elaborate on the title of the class. The next settings box is General. It shows you the join code. I suggest you check out your join code for any ambiguous characters. If it has an L that can be confused as an I, or a 0 that can be confused as an O, I would reset the code. You can also copy it here. You can display it here. You can also do this from the stream page. This is great if you want your kids to join the class in the class and you just want them to be able to see the code large. And the last thing here is you can disable the code. So if temporarily you don't want any more students to join that class, you can disable it. The stream settings, you can use it as students can comment. That's the way I usually use it. But if you have a need where you want students to post content and had conversations about it, you can make it students can post and comment, or you can lock it down so only teachers can post and comment. The classwork on the stream, so this is when you create classwork. Do you want it to show attachments and details? Do you want it to just show a condensed notification? Or you can hide notifications altogether if that's the way you would like it. You can choose whether or not to show deleted items. Only teachers can view those deleted items. Also, you can have Guardian summaries on or off. If you'd like to see an example of Guardian summaries, just click here and it'll take you to a Google site. But I suggest you leave that on for any Guardians who join your class. Here is where you would generate a Meet code. You can see that I've already generated one. I can easily reset it if I would like to. And I can make it not visible to students. at this time. So it will show up on my stream, but it won't show up on the student stream until I click this. For grading, I tend to leave mine at no overall grading until I have the teacher in with me and my co-teacher in there and see how they want to set up the grades. I suggest you set them up like your grade book. So if you use total points, set it up as total points. If you use weighted by category in your PowerSchool or such, then do weighted by category and set it up just like your grade book. You can choose whether you want students to be able to see their overall grade or not. I'm going to go make a change because otherwise I won't have anything to save. Let's try changing that and change this to no overall grade. And once all of these are set up, I just click save. That concludes Google Classroom Made Easy Part 1. Hello, this is Charity Harbeck with Google Classroom Made Easy Part 2. Today we're primarily going to talk about how to add topics and materials in the classwork. But before we do, I wanted to point out something. I've already added a number of materials in this class, and as you will notice, there's a lot of things in the stream already. In my opinion, it's best to keep the stream uncluttered, so keep that for announcements, weekly homework assignments, things of that nature. You really don't need for the students to see every time you add a material into the class. So we're going to change a setting by going up here to the gear icon. This is something I showed in part 1. We're going to go to General Settings. And here on Classwork on the stream, we're going to change that from Show Condensed Notifications to Hide Notifications. That will help us keep the stream cleaner. Also, I want to change my stream from only teachers can post or comment to students can only comment. The reason I'm doing that is if we're teaching remotely, we're going to need to talk back and forth with those students. However, you do need to know that if you have the students commenting, you have to check the comments. You may have to delete a student's comment. You may even have to mute a student. But since this class is just being built for next year, I don't actually have any active students or any of that I can show you. So that will be another session. Or you can Google how to do that or check YouTube. There's plenty of things that will show you how to do that. It's just the 3 dots next to the comment. So let's go to the classwork part. Let's start with topics. Over here on the left are the topics. And you can see that I'm in the view all topics. So it shows all these different topics and the materials I have put in them. It's pretty neat and clear as far as I'm concerned. I like it better than the stream, which was just kind of a mess. And I also like when you can go to individual ones. So if you're at all topics, it looks like this, and I can go to those individuals, or I can go to a specific topic and see what is under each one of those things. That's pretty nice. So I have my topic set up by topic, by what it's about. This is a research class, so I have it by subscription databases, MLA formats, important links, assignments. If you are teaching in the classroom, it might be best to do it by units. So I can show an example of that. This is a social studies class that I'm a co-teacher of, and you can see that this teacher has set it up by units, which here's an example. So in this unit, she's got all her assignments, and if she has materials in it, it's all posted right there. I do want to point out, I don't have an example for this, but this is just another one by topic. But many people have said while they're teaching remotely, the easiest way to do this is to set up the topics by week. So the week of August 17th through whatever. That keeps it the easiest for the kids to find things. So keep that in mind when you're setting up your topics. Next, we're going to add materials. Oh, wait, before that, I didn't even show you how to create these topics. So to create the topics, you just click on this create button and do topic. I'll just add a miscellaneous section 1 and add a topic over here so you can see how it shows up. So now I have a miscellaneous topic. The nice thing is I can drag these by grabbing this part. When I'm in the all topics view, it's very easy to drag these around, and I think I'll put miscellaneous all the way at the bottom. Not sure if I'll even keep it, but for now, you can see when I move it here, it changes it here. All right, moving on. Let's talk about adding materials. Again, you click on the create button, and this time you come down and click on material. The couple of things, you just give your material a title and a description if you like. You can add all sorts of materials. You can add things from Google Drive. I primarily add links. You can add files. You can add a YouTube video as a material. I'm going to go grab the link from this right here. This is my research site. So I'm copying the link and going back to that class, and I'm going to add the link right here. So what was this? This was my research site. So I will call it Research 101 website. Helpful resources and tips for high school students. Added just a little description and the title of what it is. So there it is, a website. Important over here. If I want to share this with more than one class, this is where I could do it. So if I have a lot of these classes, I can just check on them, and this material will be sent to all of those. I do not want to do that right this time, so I'm just going to leave it at that one. I have never had reasons not to share assignments with all students, but there are times when you may want to just share it with a few students. As you can see, it didn't work with mine because I don't have students in there yet, so I don't have the option of sharing it with anybody in particular. However, this one right here is important, the topic. If you say no topic, it just gets stuck in there without any organization, and it's just not as clear. So always try to remember to add a topic. If at some point you want to create a new topic while you're adding a material, very simple, just do it there. I am going to add this under my links. Now I have everything that I need, and I'm just going to say post. And let's see, I put that under links, so let's scroll down and you'll see there it is, Research 101 website. If I want to change the order of those, if you just noticed, I just dragged it, so I can easily change those around. And that was adding a material. Very simple and easy to do, and you can just do that multiple times. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but we had YouTube as a material. So let's go back to add a material. And just let me show you that again. Here's YouTube. And then I could add it by URL. The reason I'm showing you this is you might want to consider demonstrating a resource. If you're using Quizlet or Flipgrid, you could make a screencast and load it to your YouTube and then add it in here and add that as a material so that you're showing students how to use a resource that you're giving them. So that's a nice option of a material you might want to visit in the future. Now that we have all our materials added and our topics added, I even have a few assignments added. We'll talk more about that in part 3. The thing I want to show you next is how to copy the class. So I'm going to go over to my dashboard. These are all my classes that I have created or that I'm a co-teacher of. And the one that I'm working on that I just showed you is this one, research. You'll notice that I called it a template. I do that intentionally because I'm a high school librarian and students in every grade research. So I'm making a template with all the materials that they'll all need. And then I'm doing the copy part. So here I'm going to copy the class and I'm going to change the name of it. Actually, I think I'll put it in front and call it ninth grade research. I could section it by who the teacher is, the subject, her room number if I wanted, or maybe I want to say, and create a copy of it. I could create that if I wanted to create a class for each class in the grade level. I am going to just leave it as Mrs. Starr because generally what I would like to do is just create a class for each overall grade, not even for a class. So, however, what I might find is that I have different things for ELA than I do for social studies. So I'm going to copy it like that. And it takes just a minute to populate. Dum-de-dum. Should I sing the Jeopardy theme for you? And there we go. It is now called ninth grade research, and it's right here. So here was the original. This one is still being created, but I'm going to open it as soon as it's done being created so that I can show you, compare it to this one right here that we're working on. Is it done yet? No. Okay, I was just checking to see. Well, maybe not. Let me see if it lets me open. Oh, it does. Excellent. So in theory, there we go. So I'm going to move this over here so I have classwork for. This is the original class that I made, the template. Then this is the copy of it that I made, and all those things are in there that I created. So I like to do it that way because I set up all the classwork. But do remember, when you're doing this, the topic only gets added here. I can't add it to all the classes. The material, I can actually share it to multiple classes. So if I forget something now, I can share it to all the classes I've created. I do not have to do it individually, each one. Topics I will have to do individually, but materials I can add to multiple classes. And that is the end of part 2. I take that back. I'm going to cut that part out. All right, so once you have your class all set up, not your class, excuse me. All right, now we have a class and we have a copy of a class. Now is when we are ready to add the students. So once your class is all set up and you've created copies, it's time to add the people. You can add any collaborating teachers here. You can add students here. With students, if you are in the physical classroom with your students, you can just show them that join code. Let me show that for you for a minute. If we go back to the stream, the join code is right here. So I can expand it out like that, and I can have students click on it there. Or I can add students here by typing in their name. So, or I can add students here by name or invite them by email, and they can join that way. Generally speaking, if I'm in face-to-face, I will give them the code and then count how many students there are, make sure they've all joined. If I'm doing it via email, I can see an invite of who's there and who has accepted the invite and who hasn't, and check that way to make sure everybody is in the class. And that is the end of Google Classroom Made Easy Part 2. Welcome to Google Classroom Made Easy, Part 3. My name is Charity Harbeck. Today's focus is going to be on creating assignments. To start, we're going to go up here and click on Classwork. Notice on the left, I have all my topics, and I have a topic labeled just for assignments. You may choose not to do that. You may have topics by unit and you want to put your assignments in by the unit. You may choose to have topics by module or by week. If you were teaching remotely, it might be easiest to do it the week of and create topics that way and put the assignments in that way. This is my assignments topic, and you'll notice I already have 2 assignments in there, and I've labeled them starting with the number sign and 001, 002. This will help me keep them in order. So let's go back to all topics and create an assignment. So press the create button and then click on assignment. I will give my assignment a title. I'm going to stick with my format of the other ones, and this will be creating source cards. I want students to follow the instructions on the handout, so I'm going to type those instructions here. Where is the handout? Well, that's the next step. Let's go down here to add, and you'll notice I can add a number of things. I'm going to start right with the first one and go to Google Drive. And here is my creating your source cards handout. I'm going to double click on that to add it. To the right of that edition, you'll see it says students can view the file. That's great if you don't want them to edit anything. You just want them to look at the file. You could change it to edit, perhaps the assignments for a small group of kids and you want them to collaborate. That would be a great option for here. And this one, we want everybody to have the experience of creating a source card. So we're going to make a copy for each student. But I'm not finished. I have more materials I want to add for this one assignment. So let's go to add again. And this time let's add a link to a website that I would like them to visit. So I'm going to copy the link and place it in here. Now I have 2 resources. Let's keep going. I can add a file. So let's go upload a file from my computer. That's the difference between Google Drive and adding a file. So I'm going to find the file here on my computer and double click it. And it will take just a minute to load. Oh, no, it didn't. It was pretty quick. I could add multiple files if I wanted to. I'm just going to upload that one file. And then as it's loaded, it's going to pop up with that thing on the right again so that I can choose whether I just want students to view it, edit it, or a separate one for each student. When you add a separate copy for each student, it makes a copy of that file and puts it in their Google Drive. Otherwise, it remains in your drive and they can only view it. So I'm going to leave this one and just keep it in my drive. Lastly, let's add a YouTube video. And I want them to find out how to create source cards. So let's do a search for a video that will be a tutorial for them on that. One thing I do like to note when I'm doing this is I like to find one that's fairly recent. Here's one right here, 2019, because as you know, MLA format changes frequently. So I wanted to scroll down to look for that. If it doesn't have the filter by date, I could have come over here and just searched for YouTube and then added it by URL. So now I have my title, my instructions, and all the materials I want the students to have. Let's go over to the right. I'm not ready to assign it yet. Let's look at the rest of these things. Here is the class I have, 9th grade research. This is where if I wanted to, I could add it to multiple classes, as many classes as I wanted, and assign it across. If I had 4 classes in 9th grade research, I could assign it here. This is where if I just had a small group of students, I could make that choice here. This is where you can set the points or ungrade it if you want to do that. And you can set the due date. I'm not going to do that at this time. And this is where you can set the topic. Remember, I showed you my classwork organization. I had an assignments topic, so I want to put it there. I could also add a rubric. And we're going to skip originality reports. That might come in handy when we're writing the paper, but we're not going to talk about that right now. But I do want to show you one additional thing before we assign this. I'll put my title over here. So the stream can get really busy of things. Even the assignments can get busy. And if you're teaching remotely, you might give assignments that are not graded. So it's nice to have a signal for the kids to really pull their attention in. So one of the ways you could do that is by adding emojis to the title. I'm going to go over here to this website called emojicopy.com and go to symbols. And I'm going to grab this exclamation point and copy it and go back to my classwork and paste it. Oops, I only had one, I had three. So this could be my signal to let kids know that this is going to be a graded assignment. Now, if you look over here to the last thing that we would want to do is actually assign it. You'll see that Google's been saving it all along. Thank God, in case I got distracted, all this stuff, all this hard work's already been saved. I can assign it now. I can schedule it to be assigned later. So if I like to work ahead and want them to have everything next week, I could get all set for next week. In fact, do it if I knew I was going to be out and have a sub. That would be a great way to do that, have it ready for them. I can also save it as a draft, or I could discard it if all this hard work was for naught. So at this point, I'm going to save this one as a draft. And let's go take a look at my assignments. And you'll see there it is. I've got those other two assignments in there from before. They are also drafts because I have not assigned them because the next school year has not started. And that is how we create assignments.